What's going on, everyone?
Yes. Good evening. It seems like I always start off talking about the weather, but we were talking. We're officially in a drought here in our county. Like part of the county in extreme drought.
Yeah,
but it's kind of ironic because it's raining now as we sit here.
It is. I don't know how much rain we're gonna get total, but it is.
Yeah,
we got several days of kind of potential rains, which, hey, at this point I'm all right. But I don't want
harvest is over.
Harvest is done. I finished harvest, but I don't want a big wet winter because I got a ton of track hoe work I need to do.
Well, I'm kind of the same way too. Which fescue still, could do some growing, but since we got those freezes last week, I'm like, well, how much is the rain really going to help us at this point? And I got a little bit of dirt work I need to do for my new barn. I moved most of the dirt, but I still need to do some touching up. So I'm like, man, I hope it doesn't just get sloppy, muddy.
Yeah.
Selfishly over the next 2 or 3 days till I can get that finished up. But
oh yeah, I mean,
just feeding hay in the mud too,
is terrible. Ideally, I would like for us to stay in a drought over the whole course of the winter, because then I would be able to do some serious track hoe work.
Winter, especially once we get into when it's just not growing, and there's not really anything growing, which I guess that's never. But it's a good time to have a drought.
It is.
You want your cover crops to do good. The guys that are planting some wheat want it to do well.
Which I rarely get. I mean, we rarely have a dry winter. Our last 4 winters have been wet as crap. And I mean, the guy out there on my farm where we've been clearing, Derek, I'm letting him hunt some out there, and he went and cut him some paths. He was like, "You care if I go bush hog me some paths?" I said, "No, man." So he went out there and he bush hogged him. He said, "Man, it is some crazy ruts over there." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You should have seen it when I was running, man." I said, "It was like, I was running in water. Like there were spots I'd be taking trees down and it'd be water, a foot deep that I'd be driving the track hoe in. And that track hoe is so heavy when I get in the water. There's areas, I bet I cut ruts 3 foot deep."
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Well, I guess technically we're still a month and a half away from winter, but I remember it was a few years ago, we were really dry, relatively speaking. And mine's always related to like when I'm feeding cows, like how muddy is it? Right up until almost Christmas. And then, it set into raining. And that's, most years for us. Once we really get into winter, like January and February are just sloppy.
They are.
March, it ain't no different, which thankfully we're getting close to being done with hay or feeding by then. But
well, they claim we got a harsh winter coming.
I've seen that from some of the projections that we may get more winter weather than usual, which last winter, we had that, again, it was like the first week of winter right there, like a day or two before Christmas.
Yeah.
When some of the coldest weather I've ever
witnessed. Man,
here, yeah. We were below zero.
Our heat was
ice, out. It was rough there for just a few days. And then after that, we had a pretty mild winter. Did we really have any other snow?
I don't think so. But that week at Christmas, I remember it vividly because, like I said, our heat went out. Yeah. So we got those gas heaters, and it was keeping the house about 50 degrees.
Yeah,
I was running them, and that's in our main area. Like the heaters back there in our bedroom, I bet you our bedroom was probably 35 degrees. Because we were all having to pretty much, at that point, we were all basically sleeping in the living room because we got the gas heater in there. But it was overall, I think our little thermostat said it was around 50 degrees in the house. And that's cold in the house.
There, of course, people all over, everywhere had pipes burst.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
I don't know how ours didn't.
Plumbers were, that's the biggest thing I worry about. Hell, you're going to survive, 30, even 35 degrees, you ain't going to die, but you might have burst pipes everywhere. But I just hate it when it gets below freezing and just doesn't get above it for numerous days, which hell, I know.
And your water for the animals gets hard as a freaking rock.
They deal with that all, once it gets below freezing here, it doesn't, but they're a lot of times.
They're more equipped.
Yeah, they got, they're ready to have, water heated and all that and stuff. So yeah.
What are you drinking tonight? Chicken
Woodford.
cock.
It was down to that or Woodford, and I was like, just to appease Logan, I ought to drink the chicken cock. But I was like, no, I'm going to pour Woodford. So
double oaked or regular?
No, it's the original. Just regular
Woodford double oaked.
I figured you were going that one again. See, I'm the poor man's Woodford.
Well, since I have cut back so much, I mean, I almost only drink now when we record.
Yeah.
So I have not been to the liquor store in quite a while.
As far as whiskey, I'm primarily a beer guy. I drink my damn low carb beers. Yeah, whiskey. I'm mostly just
when we record.
Recording. As we really get into winter, like the colder it is, I might have one every now and then. But
I could safely enjoy one every night.
Yeah.
But I don't hardly ever drink beer. But I could definitely enjoy, and I probably will drink a little more frequent in the winter, I would drink pretty consistently in the summer. I mean, I've just recently dialed it back, so
it's hard for me to drink whiskey when it just feels right when it's cold. But which hell, yesterday it was
80 degrees,
83 degrees. Like, good Lord. But yeah.
Before we get in too deep, we need to mention our friends at AgZaga.
Yeah, agzaga.com. Obviously, well, we've been talking about their November flash sales every day on the toys, which I was just looking at the calendar, because you can follow them on social media. They've already got it set for the whole month, so you know what's coming up.
Yep.
So as this episode drops here on Friday, November the 10th, the flash sale of the day is going to be the Big Country Toys Polaris Ranger set. It's a pretty sweet looking set. It's got they call it the Polaris Ranger set, but it's got the pickup truck, the Ranger on the trailer, a couple of white-tailed deer, a deer stand. So it's kind of the Big Country like deer hunting set.
Yeah.
Be all kinds of cool stuff coming up. We're got the S90 John Deere combine coming up here in a couple of days. Little Buster gooseneck cattle trailer, just all kinds of good stuff. Which I don't think my kids will be listening, but my wife actually ordered some stuff.
We ordered some stuff
just a day or two ago, which
I just got some in today, actually.
Oh, really?
I ordered, yeah.
Good deal.
Yep.
Christmas presents.
Yep.
Good deal. Well, my son's birthday is actually the first week of December, so I was like, wow, we got that and Christmas.
Yeah, that's tough.
Plus, one of my kids, I don't know if it's school or what, or maybe church is doing a toy drive, so I was like, well, yeah, we'll get them some
good farm toys.
But yeah, check them out. And the best part about it, they've got those flash sales, but most of you guys, y'all already know, use the discount code Talk Dirt, all caps, no space, all one word, and additional
10% off. Go and do it. Well, before we go, we still got a bunch of listener questions, and we've got a lot more that have come in. But I had a listener, I was actually pulling it up right here, had a listener tag us and was asking our thoughts on this. And it's something that has definitely piqued my mind, but I wanted to pull the article up so that I could, let me see this exact scenario here, because I'm curious on a few specifics. This guy was asking the thoughts. This is a row crop farmer, and I get Successful Farming magazine and a couple of them, the other magazines, and it had an article in it about this guy. His name is Marty Williams. He's in Oklahoma. And it said he used to drive newer tractors. Today he's driving equipment that's paid for with less technology, but it says he has a whole lot less stress. Now, this is something I'm really interested to kind of dive in to see how many acres he's working and whatnot, because, man, I can honestly say, like, this year was tough for me because, I mean, I had good crops. My corn suffered from green snap. We had some awful storms come through. I lost about 50 bushel an acre on about two of my cornfields that I really was, and it was sickening. I mean, I was looking at probably about 170 bushel to the acre yield. I got about 120, and that was a pretty bad hit. But the thing that I'm particularly in myself this year is working, I'm very open. We both share our information. Like, I was working about 1,300 acres this year, and it's a good problem to have. I'm growing. Looks like I'm probably going to pick up even more for next year. But in order to grow, I got to have the equipment to handle the load.
Yeah.
And so my equipment cost per acre are stout right now because I'm a young guy still in a growing operation. So that can like smother you out as your equipment. And I would say that's probably what breaks a lot of guys. So
and a lot of people I'm sure fall into the trap of, everybody likes a shiny new equipment, the bells and whistles. Hell, I'm like that, it's.
Oh yeah, me too.
I didn't realize how much I liked it in the new tractor until I got in the new tractor. And
yes.
Even though it's only like, roughly 10 years newer than my air quotes old tractor, it's like, man, like when they're both sitting there and I can use either one, I'm like,
you want that newer one, yep.
And even though my previous old tractor was 50 years old.
Yes, yeah.
and I thought it was a cool tractor because it was, but
it's
like, man, just some of the creature comforts.
Yeah.
As simple as like the radio where I can like Bluetooth it or whatever. It's like we're spoiled. I mean,
see, that was one of when I bought my combine, that 9770 that I bought, that was the biggest thing I wanted. So shout out this company, STM. I actually ordered it off Shoop. STM Radio made one. It was literally plug and play. Like I took the radio out, plugged this one in, and I had Bluetooth radio.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
And I think I actually may have even gone so far in that one that I actually changed the speakers in the combine too. So I was like, I could blast some Metallica in that combine. And that's one of the things, like I am intrigued by this. And actually I wish we had asked our buddy Aaron Wenger about it, because he had at one time, I don't know what his setup is now, but at one time he had an old school John Deere that he planted with.
Yeah.
And it was like restored and it looked sharp. John Deere had to come out and basically retrofit, I think, some stuff, because you got to have a lot of computer to power the planters.
Yeah.
So John Deere had to come out and kind of set it up. I think he probably had to add some hydraulic remotes, spent some money on it, but it is a paid for tractor. And there is something pretty pimp about seeing like a 1970 John Deere out in the field doing this stuff.
It's like a classic muscle car.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just cool, especially when it's restored or it's just clean and just, something cool about that. But it's something I've always heard, but it feels almost like it's a little bit of an urban legend or a myth where, people around here will say like, oh, you get like up in the Midwest, they run a lot of older equipment,
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they always say, well, it's because, their winters are hard, but they all got heated shops, they can go through everything
work on
in the
them,
winter, get everything tuned back up. They don't need all this new equipment, newfangled stuff that the boys around here run. Then it's like, you see the stuff like on social media where people are
running 60-foot planters.
Yeah, and it's like, like that is in the Corn Belt, like of Illinois or Iowa, like, okay. And then you're like, they put in their whole corn crop, 10,000 acres in like 10 days.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're obviously running that bad, the X9s and all that. It's like, well, okay, well, I mean, it can't be both ways. They can't run all old equipment and then
have a $1 million combine.
Your ad, you see what guys running the newest and baddest stuff.
It ain't here in the South.
Yeah, it's always like in that same area. So
yeah,
and of course, it's probably a mixture of both. But
well, I was trying to look and see if it showed how many acres he worked. He says here one of the things that made him, because he said he had a $300,000 combine. Like he's had the new stuff. He said he ran the new equipment. And he said that a close call with his son is also part of the motivation. Said he had a tractor with electronic hydraulics. It tried to lower the planter onto him and his 3-year-old son. And he said, it scared me to death. I was working on the planter with the tractor running, and all of a sudden it started going up and down and doing all kinds of stuff. I decided I wanted the tractor with the old levers, and that's what I went to. So it's, let's see, he's harvesting. See, he says you can buy an old John Deere 9500. So he's running a 9500 combine, says for $15,000 to $20,000, and an 843 corn header. That's for about $5,000. Now, I'll kind of give you a reference here because, like I said, this guy asked our thoughts on this. So, of all the things that I love my 680 combine. Like, my tractor is a 2004. My John Deere, I mean, that's pretty old at this point. But I love that tractor. But, man, if somebody told me like you got to go back to something old, it wouldn't be a combine. And this Deere 9500, you can get one, for probably 15 to 20,000. And if you're just starting out, I think that's great. If you're in my shoes and you're working 1,400 acres, I ain't gonna try to do it with a 9500 combine.
Because there's two things. Like if you're a pretty slick mechanic, then and you can spend off season, going through
rebuilding basically everything.
That's good. But even if you do that, even if you're capable and willing to do all that, the time lost during harvest, because something's going to break. I mean, even something on the new stuff, new iron brakes.
Yeah.
And of course this harvest you'd probably been fine because everybody blew through harvest because we've been in a drought. It's been so dry. But it was one of those years where you'd struggle getting the crop out, and you've all of a sudden got good running days, and you break something major that's going to take you, a few days to get fine parts, a few days to get it replaced. And you could have been running those few days, and then it never fails. You finally get it all put back together, and then it's going to set into raining again.
Yep.
And so you never have a breakdown whenever it's like, the weather's bad anyway. We're not going to be able to run for a while. We might as well just be sitting around the shop kind of thing.
Well, and on top of that, this is why I say I'm trying to kind of skim through and find how many acres, because the efficiency, man, if you put a 9500 combine in a field with my 680, I will just blow the doors off of that thing.
Well, that's something I didn't even consider. It's just even if everything's running perfect, you're going to be a lot more.
You're going to be so much more efficient. You're going to get there's the old thing. Guys like to poke fun at John Deere's and claim that they lose a lot of grain. I mean, you're going to lose some grain, but they don't lose a lot of grain. But I mean, your grain loss on a 9500 is going to be more than your grain loss on a 680, just because that's the things they've been working on to fix and to hone in. And see, like an 843 corn header, that's probably, I'm guessing, a 843. That means it's an 8-row header. I mean, you can run an 8-row header with a 9500 combine. You might run 3 miles an hour. I can run 5 on my 680, 6.6 if it's good. I mean, I can run twice as fast. My 680, I could probably run that same speed with a 12-row header. And an 8-row is going to be as big as you're going to put on there. And when it comes to bean headers, you can get a 20. I think Mac Don makes a 25-foot header because I got a buddy that uses one. That 25-foot header is probably going to load the wagon on that 9500. Like, you ain't going to be pushing it. See, my 680, man, I could probably run a 45-foot header on that thing if I wanted to. Man, you're talking the potential to run a 20-foot wider header. And probably at the same speed or faster speed than that. Yeah. So your efficiency is something. Now, again, if you're working 800 acres, hey, this is great.
And of course, every operation, every situation is different. And so
and he's using a 60-foot planter.
Really?
Yeah, says he pulls his 60-foot air drill with he's got a John Deere 8970, so he's got to have a big tractor. Yeah. He said that we pulled the planter with
is that an old articulated tractor?
Yes, I think so. Kept his newer drills and planters, and he's got a newer sprayer. But he's got, that combine is an old school combine.
Yeah.
And, man, I got a buddy that he runs one real similar to that. He works around 1,000 acres. And he spends probably 15 to 20 grand on it every year.
Yeah, working
on it, getting it ready for the year. And man, you could go buy a 9770. That's a combine. It's going to have twice the horsepower, twice as efficient, and your note would be 15 to 20 grand a year. And ideally, that combine would not be breaking down as much as that one. So it's kind of like, my thing is, you reach a point of diminishing return. Like,
oh yeah,
when do you get to? You're spending more on repairs and time loss than if you just had a machine that you were paying a note on.
Well, and you could break this down for people that say don't ever buy a new vehicle. People that say, yeah, it's and you could have this debate to the end of time, and
Yep.
you're gonna have people on different sides of it. But yeah, which of course you're not even talking about buying new necessarily.
No, yeah, no.
Of course, you're buying new. You got
Jeez.
typically interest rates are much more favorable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could get some of John Deere's done some where it's like 60 months, 0% interest.
That does not surprise me. I know my Kubota I just bought was the same way, and so
Yeah.
which I mean, I'm talking about buying a small tractor compared to a combine. Still, it's like, oh Lord, like just if you're going to finance that entire thing, just the savings you have in interest alone, like you got to find just a steal on a used one.
Yeah.
Wow. If you're going to pay for it, yeah, but
I can't
then
find
the
his
warranty
acres.
and all that, and there's other factors.
Well, and see, the bad thing on the warranty side is most of them, hell, the warranty don't last maybe 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and you got some of those guys, and a lot of them are the big time operators.
Run them 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
They'll actually, I've heard kind of horror stories. Guys would buy one that some of the big operators have had. They've run it for 2 years, and they'd buy it, and they'd be running it, and I mean, all the bearings would just damn near go down because some of them big operators, they just never grease them.
Because they know they're going to trade it before they need to.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody was talking about that. I don't remember if it was on with Sharkey, his podcast, or who, but his dealer had a guy that they traded like every year, every other year. And so the dealer, the salesman, literally, he would go by occasionally and grease it for him. Because he knew he was going to take it back in on a trade. Yeah. And so, and I don't know if they were joking or not. But it's like,
golly.
The salesman or they'd have somebody from the dealership would go by and occasionally grease it for them because
that's bad.
They're like, we're going to take it back in on trade one day.
And I have looked at equipment before.
But I've heard that same thing. Like,
yeah,
like you don't want a machine that those guys have traded in because they're going to run it for a year or two. They know nothing will go out in that short period of time, so they ain't worried about it. They won't. They don't even own a grease gun.
No, yeah, and see, like my 680, I knew the guys that had it, and they take really good care. I think they had probably run this combine for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And they had taken really good care of it, and I called the guy directly that had it, that owned it before he traded it in, and talked to him about it. And so that's where, yeah, but there has been scenarios where I would ask one of the technicians that I know up there, and I'd be looking at a piece of equipment, and I'd be like, man, what about this combine, or what about this whatever, and sprayer, and he'd be like, man, them dudes, and that's what he'd say, they don't even own a dang grease gun. He was like, you don't want that combine or want that.
Before I bought my baler, and I think I may have told this story, but there was a used baler sitting on a lot somewhere, and I kind of recognized it, and I called a guy that I knew had run one just like it.
Yeah.
I figured it was probably his old one. That's what he's like, don't trade for that.
Don't trade.
Or I didn't even think to trade. He's like, you don't want that one.
Yeah.
He's like, and I think this guy takes pretty good care of his stuff, generally speaking. But he said we wore that thing out.
Yeah.
And he said, I think they went through it, but no, he said that sucker's worn out. And if he had it, I knew that it had probably been worn out.
Used pretty heavily.
They rolled a lot of hay, but yeah.
Well, one other thing I want to mention. Let's see, while I'm pulling this up, you said you wanted some people to join you for a drink.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking before we started recording. So going back earlier this year, maybe even last fall, one of you listeners out there reached out and said something about we need to have a tailgate before the Tennessee and Georgia football game this year, or a meetup or whatever. I'm not. So as we sit here and record, that game's about 9 days away. So next weekend, I'm tentatively planning on being in Knoxville. We still got a lot of stuff going on with family, stuff and with all that we've had going on, and just farm stuff we're busy on. I'm hoping to be in Knoxville next weekend. I've got a hotel room already booked from a previous trip up there that we couldn't make it to. So I'm either going to lose that hotel room or not, which that will be one of the least expensive parts of the trip. Ticket's going to be high, but any of y'all are out there, even if you're a dog fan, I know you'll probably bark at me. Reach out to me on Instagram, because by next week when we record, I'll know if I'm going to be there or not, but it may be too late to set anything up. reach out to me. If I'm going to be there, we'll try to have a meet up anyway. I don't know if we'll be able to have a full blown tailgate, but have a drink and
smoke a doobie.
Yeah, I mean whatever.
Do a little toot.
I won't judge anyone.
Do a little toot. Well, y'all need to do that.
Try to talk Logan into coming.
Man,
I'm not 100% certain I'm going to be there.
And it's so hard to get me out of. I would say Tipton County. I used to always say it's hard for me to get out of Tipton County, but I actually spend a lot of time now in Shelby County. But now it's a very rural.
Well, think about it. Like me, we'll leave probably at noon on Friday. The game is it'll be 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. And then we'll get up early Sunday morning and come back. But my neighbor's previous game that we'd had tickets to and I had a hotel room to was Texas A&M, and we couldn't go because when my father-in-law had his accident, and so I gave the tickets to one of my neighbors, and they weren't planning on driving all the way back, but they're like, well, we got back to where they had stayed the night before, which was like Crossville. Right, the only hotel available was the one we had stayed in on Friday night, and it was terrible. So we kept driving, and hell, right, we got home at like 2:15. I'm like, well, shit.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Golly.
Well, so because I didn't go out of town to that ball game, my daughter had a softball tournament. We got home at like 2 a.m.
Oh, so you could have just drove home?
Like when you put it like that, I'm like, heck, no, I'm not going to drive all the way back.
What is it, about a 5-hour drive?
For us, I always just go ahead and figure for 6, but about 5.5. You gain an hour coming back.
That's true.
Central time because you're coming from Eastern to Central.
Yeah.
But I was like, woo, which I thought I was like, oh man, y'all didn't come to 2:15. I got to thinking, I was like, wait a second. That same night, because I ended up going to the softball tournament, of course, my daughter instead, like, we only beat you home by like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was almost 2 o'clock. But anyway.
Well, y'all, reach out to Bobby Lee.
Instagram is the easiest. That's the one place where I check my messages regularly.
That's where he gets all his wiener pics. So there's been North Dakota had a record land sale. Did you see that?
Man, I see some of that stuff go across my timeline every now and then. I don't know that I actually read the article or anything.
I don't understand how they make this work because this is
man, it's got to be somebody, and I don't even know the details of it, but somehow had some cash, on hand, or
it must be because it's a family farm. Yeah, it is a family farm, and that bought it. It's 320 acres. They paid $17,500 per acre, so $17,500 per acre for 5.6.
That's crazy.
It's not the 32,000 or whatever. It's just wild because I'm still just like I don't know how you make that pencil out. I mean,
well, and I don't know where it is and anything about it, but like drilling across a lot of that part of the country. Some of it's not super productive, but at the same time,
it's the very upper, like very northeast corner.
So on the eastern side would be, I think the more productive, more valuable ground. I mean, again, I'm not a South Dakota expert, but just having driven across there a half dozen times or so. If
Derek listens to this, he'll be proud that I just used the northeast description because I'm not like a navigation guy. And actually, we were laughing. I don't remember if I shared this on here. It was like the first or second day he was helping us, and he said, "Oh crap! Oh wait a minute! I hit him. I thought I was saying we were out of memory. I got the volume turned down. We would have just had a harp playing, but we were out on my farm in Drummond's, and he was on one of the grain buggies." And I was like, man, I'm going to need to unload in a minute. And he goes, is that do you want me to go on the north side or the south side of the field? And I said, I don't know, Lewis and Clark. I forgot my compass at home. I said, just meet me down here. And he was like, I don't remember what he said. And Dad was like, well, where the sun rises and sets. And he's like, got on the radio saying crap. But, so I've been trying to like make an effort. I'm like, all right, north, south, so. Yeah, that would be the northeastern corner.
It's funny you say it's my daughter. I guess I'm sure it's my daughter. It wouldn't have been my son because he's only in kindergarten. But I guess they're doing like geography and whatnot. And I'd even forgotten this little saying, but never eat soggy waffles.
Marcy said that one day, and I was like, "What is that?"
My daughter was saying, I was like, I vaguely remember hearing that, but like, which yeah, I mean, of course, I know north is up, south is down. You know, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good with my directions because of course, we're so close to the Mississippi River here.
Yeah.
Like I always know, like the river's that way. That's west.
Yeah.
You know.
I just know.
You know, Covington is that way. That's north.
Yeah.
You know, I can.
I'm like, I know the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Yeah.
Like I always just think.
Well, if you know where east and west are, then you know where north and south are.
I know. I just don't take the time. Usually, I'm not willing to like take the time to like, all right, let me figure out which. So I always just say, man, just meet me over here. Like,
I think Derek and I could probably get along on that.
Yeah.
We always, a lot of times we go out to eat, and if my parents are meeting us or whatever, it's usually a group message, you know, where we're going. And like, we get there first, like, all right, I already got a table, and I'll say it's on the north side, you know, of the dining room.
Do you send them lat and longitude?
I'll say on the north side wall or whatever. and I always do that too, because I know like my mom's like, I don't know which one that is.
Yeah.
So
you need to say, next time they say like, let's go to Casa, you need to say Willco.
See, I'm lost now.
Well, see, we've been kind of teaching like 10-4. You know, 10-4 is our okay. Or, you know, what, I don't even know. We don't have a lot of like lingo on the radio, but I was asking Derek, I was like, all right, I won't give a lot of details out because Derek is he's a humble dude on this. But he's a bad dude. I'll give him that. But, he served in the military. He still serves in the military. And I'm like, well, what's some of your radio lingo? Because I'll say, he would be like, okay, or copy. And sometimes he'd go, Roger. And I was like, he sounds very military. But I'm like, y'all don't say 10-4? Because he never would say 10-4.
Yeah.
Now
this seems like more like trucker lingo.
Yeah.
Or like law enforcement, maybe.
Well, now he says 10-4 a little bit. His daughters have even come with him, and we kind of like been teaching them to say 10-4. But I was like, so what's the military's version of it? And he said, well, we'll say Willco. And I said, what does that mean? He said, it means will comply. So it's just Willco. So I keep waiting, like if I mention something on the radio, but he hasn't really dropped a Willco on me. He's usually now he'll say 10-4.
Okay.
But Willco sounds a little cooler.
Yeah. What do they say if they will not comply?
I don't think they have that option. Nilco. I don't know. I don't think that's an option. But we got a couple of questions I want to jump on. Yeah, I just thought that was wild. That price still $17,500.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you make that pencil out.
Know, and we say it all the time. Like every time, there's some land for sale around here, and it's like, it's too much. And then like a few years go by, and you look back, you're like, that wasn't such a bad deal after all. And you're like, well, crap, when am I going to quit saying that and act on?
I know, it's just, man, you got to be able to make the payments.
Well, you're right. Yeah, it's not just, is it worth it? It was like, yeah, it might be worth it, but can you pay for it?
Yeah. Well, we got some listener questions here. This one it's very specific. It's a long question, and it actually comes from our giveaway winner.
Yeah.
And this was before he won the giveaway, so this is pretty cool. Because like I said, guys, we're trying to chip away at them, and we got more coming in, and we want more coming in. Keep sending us your questions. Go to talkdirtpodcast.com, the contact page. You can fill out and send us. Again, that is the best place to submit your questions because we can keep track of them really easily. So this comes in from Michael, like I said, our giveaway winner. He says, very specific situation / question. I've been helping my grandfather on his small farm, soybeans, since I came home from the military about 3.5 years ago. I don't know how to talk to him about his plans for when he decides to hang it up. It very well could go to my uncle, which is another can of worms, but I've tried to make it as clear as possible that I want to take it over and get started on my own. I don't like the idea of outright. I'm almost wondering, should we do this one when he comes in?
I hadn't read the question.
It's a long question. It's very specific. And I'm almost thinking...
Yeah, I think, just right here in the moment, we can kind of,
I think it would be...
make the most sense.
And it would give us a good discussion back and forth.
And I can already see where that one's headed, man. that's a tricky situation. So it'll be a good discussion.
Yeah, I think, Michael, we're not blowing you off here. This is, I think this will be a good conversation for us to have when you come in and record.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. We're saving that one. Sorry to tease you guys.
No, that's a great teaser.
Yeah.
That's one that's like, woo, yeah, buckle up. That could be a whole episode just talking about, succession planning and, man, like, you could have an entire podcast series on that subject.
Yes, you could. All right, so then we'll jump to the next question. This is from Bryson. And he's, I recognize he said Bar M on YouTube. I think he's wrote questions in before, and he's been on a lot of stuff. Like, I've seen your comments on there. So he's been a supporter for a long time. We appreciate that. Logan, good to see you finally putting up videos again. Don't forget to record the Beaver War. I will say I was kind of surprised. I tore their dam down about 3 times with the Traco. They just quit. They haven't been back, which has been dry as a popcorn fart. So, honestly, I don't even think they've had enough water to do anything. But I will do some recording of some of the trapping. And Bobby Lee, I will have you know the wife did give you a compliment on the skullet while you had a hat on, though. If you ever, unfortunately, become a single man again and hit the dating scene, remember to not take the hat off until y'all hit the bed and the lights are off.
There we go.
So, on to the BS solar panel scam. All right, you're speaking my language. We can talk more in depth on this in person when I win the contest. Sorry, man. Hey, we'll have another one for sure. He said, but to hit the highlights, the soil is destroyed where these are installed. Over time, the sun degrades the panels and allows for leaching of metals into the soil.
See, I've heard that.
Yeah. Not to mention the mining for the vast majority of these metals is done via surface strip mining. That's one of the things that always gets me. I'm like, the amount of damage that's done to build and make these things is pretty astronomical.
Yeah, it's same thing like with any of this, electric technology, whether it's the car, batteries, whatever. It's like, but at what cost?
Yeah. And he said, so as y'all mentioned, these companies are heavily subsidized, allowing them to pay the exorbitant prices and rent rates. These companies will go bankrupt like Solyndra before them. And he said, wasting taxpayer dollars and leaving the cleanup to us, the taxpayers. To anyone renting to them, I highly suggest using a lawyer familiar in mineral right leasing to ensure you don't get screwed. Chances are, though, they will move on once you demand funding be bonded for future cleanup and remediation. Looking forward to some bourbon sipping and BSing this fall with you fellas. Think we can squeeze in a duck hunt as well, LOL. Shoot, I ain't been in years.
Shoot, I'm open to invites.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have much to offer.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Regard, but yeah.
He said, seriously though, keep it up. Love listening to y'all and watching the channels grow. Man, Bryson, we appreciate it. Like I said, I recognize the name. You've been a huge supporter for a long time. Man, that's awesome. And the solar panels. I love that we just share that and put that out there because I just don't think people realize.
I have heard that too. That it's not like, so they've got a 20-year lease on a place that at the end of the 20 years, they come in, rip it all up and boom, it's back to life as it was before. So I don't know. Yeah.
And I've heard they have to send the panels off. It ain't like you can just take it to the dump and throw it in the dump. Like, it's got to be sent to like a specific place to be tore down, recycled, and do all the crap that they do to it. Because it's glass and metal. And I still don't quite understand how that works. I don't know if there's concrete poured.
That's set in.
Yeah. Like, I don't quite understand how all that works. I've honestly never really paid that much attention. I did find out the 120 acres that I worked this year, they did tell me I would not be working it again because they said they're going to start pre-seeding it for getting it prepared for the panels this spring. So I did talk to my county commissioner, and I wrote a scathing email of why they don't need to rezone it. Because, see, it's got to go before, because they actually blocked them here. They did a moratorium, a 180-day moratorium, which stopped them from being able to go ahead and, like, slap the panels on. But I think the moratorium ends in March. And after that, I don't know. I don't really know how that works, but I know it's got to go before a zoning board. They have to zone it, I guess, capable of being a solar panel. And this shows you how much people really don't want this. The county commissioner, I don't remember if I shared this or not, but she said a good town hall meeting usually, she said maybe has 100 people show up. She said the town hall meeting they did over this solar panel stuff had over 300 people show up, and they were like pretty much unanimously opposed to it. So, and she said the lawyers for the solar panel company are like, breathing down her neck and like giving her hell and all this because she's trying to stop them, more or less. So I don't know, man. I feel like we're probably going to lose the battle over there. But I mean, for one, we're going up against the former governor of Tennessee, which is kind of annoying to me. Phil Bredesen's one of the owners.
I was about to say, I was assuming it would have been him.
Yeah, he's one of the owners of Silicon Ranch.
Yeah. Which.
So it's hard to.
I mean, yeah, I must stay out of politics a little bit if I can.
Well, I mean,
he's a rare. I've already stepped into it. So
yeah, go ahead.
He's a rare Democrat governor that we've had, and I don't know. In my adult life, he's the only Democratic governor we've had in our state, which is. It's weird to me to even think that we had a Democrat governor at one time.
I know, yeah.
And it hadn't been that long ago, like.
Yeah.
But the last, pretty much since he left office, like, the governor's race is pretty much the Republican primary.
Yes.
Like, whoever wins the primary stomps a little mud hole in the ass of whoever the Democratic candidate is. But things have become a lot more polarized, since he was in office, too.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody outside of like 2 or 3 major cities in our state votes red.
Boy, and the ones that vote blue, they're really on that Kool-Aid too.
We have maybe
it's like 3 counties.
Yeah, very, very few. But anyway, yeah. So when you said a former governor, I was like part of me thought, could it be somebody? But no, he's the one that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So the next question. Hey, first off, like I say, appreciate that, Bryson. Anytime y'all got something like that you want to write in, want us to share about, please do so. And, hey, man, we'll be looking forward. At some point, we'll sip some bourbon together. So Jay writes in, and I recognize his name. He's been a supporter for a while, or reached out quite a few times, because he said, I started listening to y'all a couple months ago. I never even listened to a podcast. In a couple months, I'm completely caught up. My only complaint is that I have to wait until Friday to listen to y'all. Great job. Keep it up. So that's awesome to hear. And actually, that kind of allows me to bring something up that Bobby Lee and I have just vaguely been kicking around. For some of you that know much about podcasts, y'all have probably heard of like a Patreon thing. And, Bobby Lee and I both, it's not like we don't already have a pretty heavily loaded plate on our laps, but we have kicked around the idea, because we've had quite a few people that have said they wish we would drop more than once a week. And, hey, we're busy fellas, but we're like, hey, if people want an extra one, we would consider doing like a special, like a Patreon episode. I don't know, 2 a month, maybe. Maybe.
Well, we're open to ideas. It had been suggested to us by more than one person, and we're like, well, at some point it may be worth it. Time is very valuable to us, but if the people want it, the people might get it.
Yeah, and it'd be, we're not talking anything crazy. $1,000 a month from each listener would be about right. No, I'm just kidding. But $10 or $20 a month.
I will go on the record to say I will absolutely do it. If subscribers pay $1,000,
I would absolutely do that as well. I would do like several episodes, but yes,
you can come sleep in my living room.
That could be the like highest tier.
You can have dinner with my family and I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like weekly.
Weekly, yes. Well, that's I mean, seriously, thinking $10, $20 a month, maybe starting a Patreon, doing a little bonus episode, a couple bonus episodes a month. Maybe throw in some swag every so often.
Yeah, we don't
some
know.
packages, but
ideas we're kicking
we're
around.
open. We're open to it. If that's
I don't know,
something,
is there a way we could do it like live?
yeah. Well,
Could take it like live, or be more like a discussion we have with the viewers.
that would be cool. Almost like a call in or something.
Yeah, like a virtual meet. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Well, again, we're open to ideas. Yes, send us if you have an idea of something like that. Send us your suggestions. Comment on the video. Email them to us. Whatever. DM them to us on Instagram. We'd love to hear your ideas. What would you be in favor of? And let us know on that. That kind of brings that up. And then you wouldn't have to wait till the next Friday. So Dustin writes in, awesome podcast. Love listening. Finally got caught up. And it sucks having to wait a week to hear the new show. Any chance you can make a list of all the American companies? I got shit memory. Man,
I've got them all in my phone.
And I had said I was going to put them on our website. It's just been honestly just taking the time to do it. I think you had sent them to me at one time.
And I keep it running. I mean, if I've missed one or two, it's not more than one or two. Yeah.
Well, I'll get you to send it to me again. I went and added the giveaway. I need to take it down anyway, so I need to get into the website. So yeah, send it to me again, and I'll try to get that put on there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, and we appreciate the support, man. All right, we'll do one more question here. This comes in from Kelsey. Hey guys, love the podcast. I recently purchased 13 acres in northeast Texas and plan to run a few cattle on it, as well as the donkey and goat lawn ornaments my wife wants. Oh, lawn ornaments, okay. I have a few questions as a new producer with an agriculture background. First, what's a better cattle option between feeder steers and a small cow-calf operation? I mean, we've touched on this a little bit. We'll answer that before I go into the second part of the question. I mean, myself personally, in that scenario, I would say feeder steers.
It's easier to get up and going there because, again, you can buy you some calves in the spring, raise them all spring, summer, and into the fall, sell them in the fall. You know, if you're having to borrow to do that, immediately pay back your loan, reinvest, the money you make or put it in your pocket, whatever you want to do with it. Or, I mean, it doesn't have to be spring to fall. Maybe you've got a bunch of feed put up, so hey, whatever. But yeah, it's easier to make it pencil out or to put it down. Now,
yeah,
there are scenarios where cow-calf could potentially be more profitable. It's just usually a much longer term investment. So just getting going is a little tougher. What kind of I've done, because we when we buy our feeders every year, just our stocker calves, whatever you want to call them, I usually buy them with borrowed money. But it's because I'm going to pay it back, just in a few months when I sell them. The way I built up my cow-calf herd, I've always bought them just, I haven't used borrowed money to do that because it takes so long to, for that cow to pay for herself. Usually multiple calves. I don't know what the current figures are. A lot of the extension services and whatnot will say, based on the average, production cost, you got to
3 years
just to
or
wean
something.
you 2.4 calves before she starts paying for herself, at current market prices, whatever. But yeah, so I never wanted to be like, overextended, trying to pay for a cow-calf herd. So it's been one of those things where I've just slowly grown mine as I've had the extra money to do so. And it's been a lot of, I didn't buy, 50 cows all at once. I bought 4 and 5 here.
A few minis here and there.
Yeah, one mini there, and got my money back on her real quickly.
Yeah,
as fast as I could.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Well, there you go.
Different story. If y'all don't know that one, go back 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was just a few weeks ago. Well, he said second, I'll need a tractor to mow pastures. Been looking in the 40 to 50 horsepower range since it's not a lot of land to take care of, so to speak. In the past, I've run 75 to 130 horsepower Deeres and know I don't need one that big. Thanks for the help.
It's a good thing because I've looked at some online the last day or two just playing around.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Well, that's like that. I bought that 90 horsepower. I mean, that's perfect for the farm store. And, but yeah, I mean, by the time, which I needed a front end loader because it's basically going to be my forklift and everything. And I needed the bucket and all that. So by the time you get the tractor, I mean, I bought it brand new. Tractor, front end loader. I mean, even a 90 horse. I mean, you're talking $95,000.
Yeah, and that's is that the E?
Yeah, that's the low end. Yeah. Now it was weird because this was Tennessee Tractor's demo tractor.
Yeah.
They would take to the shows, so they had it has more remotes on it. It's almost like an M. I guess the M is the next step up.
But still, the E is like the
base model.
And I know, like on my baler, I have the 450E, and I'm pretty sure it stands for the economy.
Yes, it does.
It's the base model. You look at because I was just filtering by I had it limited to John Deere and Kubota, and I think the Tractor House goes up to like 174 horse or whatever, and you can filter it down even further, but. Like those 6130 M's, which is more than I need, but that would be comparable size to my biggest.
What about 150, 125?
I'm like, yes, like my first house, which was a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. Like it wasn't a cost less than some of these tractors.
Yeah.
These are used tractors.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy hell. Like this is insane. Like,
well, that's how.
And I'm just like, who buys those? I mean, obviously plenty of people do, but I'm like, that size tractor is typically like maybe you're using it a little here and there on the row crop, but primarily it's more like a cattle. Like if you're using a row crop side, like it's your
forklift
utility tractor. Yeah, you're using it to load the planter. Like you're not pulling the planter with it.
No.
You're using it. You got the ditcher on it maybe, or you're doing some odds and ends stuff with it. Like that's not your workhorse. Like. And there are some big ass cattle operations out there and dairies and whatnot that.
Well, that was the thing that made me go with that 90, which I mean mainly the equipment that I use that 94, probably about a 70 horse would have been enough, but I wanted the 90. But see, you go from the 90, they got a 5100. But then it goes up to like a 6,000 after that, and it was a I mean, it was like a $40,000 or $50,000 jump, and it's a little bit bigger tractor, which would be nice in some scenarios, but it wasn't $40,000 or $50,000. But now for this dude, man, I'm gonna tell you, you got 13 acres you're working with. You're just starting out, honestly. And look. I like pretty much bleed green. Like it's no secret here. I'm a John Deere guy, but I would probably get a Kubota. Start out on a Kubota for about 50. And I would go on the high side. You said 40 to 50 horsepower. I'd probably still shoot for a 50 horse.
Yeah. And I'm a Kubota guy. I mean, give me truth serum. If you got me a comparable Kubota and a comparable John Deere sitting there and say you can have either one of them, I'm going to go with the John Deere. Like, I mean,
yeah, man, it's the Harley Davidson.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's something cool about a John Deere. I mean, it just is.
They're the panty droppers. When you pull up at Tennessee Tractor, that's why it says #1 panty dropper tractor in the country. It says that on the door.
Does it really?
No, it does not. No, but that would be great marketing.
I would probably be trading in my Kubota definitely for a Deere.
I was going to say, I would be even more diehard John Deere if they embraced something like that.
It helps that we're here in Tennessee and Kubota is orange. Like, I'm like, man, you can't go wrong with orange.
But how many songs have been written about a Kubota tractor?
Well, I mean, we ought to do one.
There you go. You need to make you an album about Kubotas.
Old Joe Diffie.
Yeah.
R.I.P. You're right, John Deere green. But I agree. Like, and I'm a little bit. I think for the size tractors that Kubota makes, heck, Kubota makes one now that's like.
Don't they make a 200 horse?
They make like a row crop tractor. Yeah, duals. And, but certainly I'd say under 150 horse, like I think the Kubota is right there with Deere. I won't, I'm not going to badmouth other brands, but I'm not hardly going to go with anything else. That's why I just said when I was looking online yesterday, I was filtering by those two companies. But and at that size tractor, for sure. Look at used. Especially if you're,
oh yeah, definitely used.
If you're going to be able to pay for it outright, no doubt buy used. Like I say, some of the financing on some of the stuff, and they want just stupid high price for some used equipment. Sometimes if you're going to finance it, it might make sense to get that 0% interest on a new one. But, like you were saying, you don't really need that 90 horse. That's what I found out since I got that 73 horse or whatever it is. Kubota, it's a 071, M4 071, but I think engine horsepower is like 73, whatever. So I realized like that tractor, it's essentially half the horsepower of my 135.
Yeah.
It's still all the horsepower I need for 95% of what I do. That's why I'm looking at, if I got rid of my bigger tractor, I'd probably come down. I'd probably still want one in the 100 horsepower, maybe 110 range, but I don't have to have 135 horse. I don't realize how big that tractor is until I've been on the other tractor doing pretty much everything I need to do, and then I get off of it and on the other, and I'm like, which I know if you got on it, you'd be like, this thing's tiny. But I'm like, this thing's a pretty damn big ass machine for what I do.
Yeah, well, used to. It's funny when I go back and think about it. Back in the day, a 1066 was a bad son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That was like, and ours is turned up. It's probably got 150 horsepower. Factory, I think it had 110. Back in the day, that was a bad bastard. My 8420 has 300 horsepower. Like I could hook up to that 1066 with it and probably rip the axles out from underneath it. That 8345R that Dad runs, that's 345 horsepower. Yeah. Hell, there's now, John Deere's got like a 9600R. It's got like 600 horsepower. So the horsepower game, I think my 680 combine, hell, I think I've heard it's got 500 or 600 horsepower. It's huge horsepower now. So it is wild how things have evolved on the horsepower game, but you can still get a lot done with a 100 horsepower tractor. That's a lot.
Oh yeah. Even like small row crop operation, like you can pull some of these drills that are on a caddy.
You could run you could put a 15-foot drill. See, the biggest thing on like the 5000s is the weight of the tractor is pretty light. That's my not one complaint.
If you got it on a caddy.
Oh yeah, you could pull it with a caddy.
Yeah.
I don't know if a 20, it might would pull a 20-foot drill.
Our buddy Lee, when he first started farming, he would borrow a drill, and he would do it. They had it was like a 90, 95 horse tractor. It was a
20-foot. It was a 20-foot drill. Yeah.
I don't know if it was a 20 or 15, but it was a soybean special. But it was on a caddy, and he would plant 100 acres or so with that, and he was, have it like custom harvested. And that's how he got started farming. Hey, there's absolutely zero shame in that.
No, absolutely. Well, I think that's probably the last question we'll take today. Kelsey, we appreciate the question. Hope we gave you some good input there. Yeah, look for used. I would look at a Kubota. At that size, look, I'm a John Deere guy, I'll admit. Even the Kubota's there, you're not going to go wrong. And there's no point in spending more than you got to when you're trying to get started like that. So go Kubota, go used, and look for a good deal. Get a front end loader on there.
Yes, I cannot stress that enough. Somebody was asking me about buying mine. I was this close to not getting a loader on my new tractor. I'm like, I don't need a loader on two tractors.
Oh, man.
Would have been the stupidest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working on moving dirt in my new barn and whatnot. So I got my box blade and my chute bucket on the front end loader of my smaller tractor. I'm using it to do all my dirt work. Got my hay spears on the front and back of the bigger tractor. Well, I thought I had a major hydraulic problem. Thankfully, I changed the filter.
Good to go.
Good to go. But that tractor was down for a day or two until I could get that done. And so I'd have to literally, when it was time to feed hay again, I'd have to take the box blade in the bucket off that tractor, put the hay spears on it, put the hay out. You know, it seems so simple, and it wasn't a major thing, but it's like I was like, well, now that I got both of them running good again, I'm like, now it doesn't matter how long it takes me to do the job.
Yeah.
Right? That tractor's designated just for that job. That one, like, no, it's.
Oh yeah, front end loader.
When the loader is an option, you put the loader on it. Like you will use it in ways you could not even imagine.
It puts the loader on the tractor. Yeah. It does. All right, you want to queue up our man? I got a company for us today.
I'm glad you got one because I had one, but I was worried. I was like, man, I gotta be sure we've got a good one for this week and good.
Yep. Yep. This one, and it's actually kind of one I was surprised we hadn't even thought about.
Well, and there's several companies. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's made in USA, and I use it all the time. I need to write that down next time.
Two words. Made in America.
All right. So I would say probably one of the reasons me and you hadn't mentioned this one is because neither of us smoke cigarettes. But Zippo lighters are made in the USA. Did you know that?
I don't guess I'd ever thought about it.
Since the 30s. They're like super American.
I smoke a cigar like maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. That'd be about the extent of mine. I've been chewing pretty regularly now.
You know, I chewed a little yesterday. What are you chewing?
Well, I typically, sometimes it varies because it's not as readily available. Like you go into any gas station, they got like 25 cans of dip.
Yeah, you're right. Chewing tobacco is it's like a dinosaur.
It is. And everybody that helps me starts chewing tobacco. Literally everybody that comes and helps me. Right now I'm actually chewing beech nut. But America's best Red Man is.
Yeah, I was about to say. Which I refuse to call it anything other than Red Man. But I also refuse to buy it because of like those woke ass bastards.
But it's so good, man. It is.
I've always been a Levi Garrett. Like Levi's always been my go-to.
But dang, it's high. Levi Garrett's the most expensive.
So I mean, I buy it so infrequently. I mean, I always notice, but
I think it's like $11 a bag.
I want to say like 9. How much is Red Man?
I think you can get it for about 7 or 8.
Okay.
Beech nut was about 7 or 8. What he chews. I think they give you $1 to take what he chews.
What is it? Because I bought a bag.
Star.
Yeah, I have seen that. No, that wasn't what I bought. Some
Bowie. Did it have the knife on it?
I don't think it was Bowie. I think it was like $1.99.
Well, Star is $1.99. And I will say, like, Star's actually not horrible. Bowie is horrible. I bought some of it.
This stuff I bought, man, what was it?
Stoker's?
I don't think it was. I'll see it somewhere and I'll pick up another pack. But I could tell, I was like, this ain't Levi Garrett.
Yeah. Levi Garrett is not bad, but man, I feel like the green label of Red Man is kind of more moist than any of them. But beech nut's not bad either. But I mean, hell, since we started harvest, I probably haven't missed 2 days of chewing. I mean, at this point, I could safely say I'm chewing tobacco. And I mean, Marcy rode with me. I had to move a bulldozer yesterday. I moved the bulldozer, and I mean, we ate lunch. And we got in the truck, and I put a chaw in. And she was like, "Please don't get lip cancer." And I said, "I'm not. I mean, I don't chew all day. Like I usually chew about 2 or 3 times a day." Now, if I ain't doing nothing in the field, I ain't sitting in the house putting a chaw in.
Well, what is so different about chew versus dip? Where, like, if I put in a dip, like, and I leave it in for more than 5 minutes, like, I'm puking. Like,
I don't know, because I'm actually the same way.
But I can chew tobacco. Like,
it just must not have near the nicotine. I don't know.
Maybe it does. Yeah, it's not as concentrated. Like, I can have a chew in and, like, take a sip of, like, when I'm drinking. Like, I can just, I don't know what, and I can go, a year without chewing tobacco, throw one in, no problem. But,
I'll get a buzz from chew, but I don't get, dipping. I mean, and I dipped for years, but if I put a dip in right now, I'd probably turn green.
Have you ever chewed the Bloodhound?
No. Is it pretty good? Where do you even find it?
I don't think I've had it since I was in college. I think they call it like plug tobacco. It comes in a...
Where you bite it off?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I've never tried plug.
A buddy of mine, when we were in college, I don't even know where it was. I mean, this would have been Yeah, sad as it is to say it, probably 20 years ago. Yeah, but it's a doggone good chew.
Doggone good chew.
Yeah.
I like the package.
Yeah.
Well, so not talking on chew on our Zippo. So Montana Knife Company, another awesome American
That's why it
company.
didn't surprise me, because I know Montana does some collabs with them.
That's how I found out. I got a package from Montana Knife Company the other day.
Montana's super hardcore, made in USA.
Yes. They sent me a lighter, the Zippo lighter, because I'm a VIP, MKC VIP. Apparently it's based off of like how much you spend. There's different levels of them now, but I'm the level 1. Now I don't know if this is like 1 is the best or 1 is the first, because I'm gonna tell you, I've spent a lot of money on MKC.
You know, they had another drop tonight.
Is that the whitetail? Oh man,
I missed it.
Oh, it's already sold out, I'm sure.
It dropped at 8:00 our time. At 8:07, because I'd been telling myself, and I should have put an alarm on my phone, I guess. Like, I want one, and I had a specific. I was gonna gift it.
Yeah.
Specifically, someone I need to get a gift for, relatively nice here in the next couple of months, and I was like, oh, that'll be perfect for them. And at 8:07, they were. I was like, oh gosh.
Well, it was a sweet knife.
Yeah, and I was thinking, because now they finally got to the point where 2 or 3 of their models are in stock. Like, you can go to the website right now, MontanaKnifeCompany.com, whatever, and they've got them.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe they're at the point where these things don't sell out like within 2 minutes. Like, they sell out within 7 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's a badass
less.
It is.
It looked nice. Like, that'll be perfect for this person. And so now I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to go to one of the in-stock models. They'll have a couple more drops, probably. Do they do a drop every week?
I don't know at this point. I don't think so. Okay. I don't know. They might.
It's usually Thursday nights. I remember right before we record. But
well, that's what they sent, that lighter. I got it out, and it said made in the USA, and it's got I should have brought it out here. It's black, and it's got one of their skull designs on it, and it says VIP on there, and I was like, nice. But it was made in USA. And I used to have old Zippo that was like my dad's or somebody's, and I used to always play with it, because I could do the thing where you hold it and you snap your fingers and it flops it. It would kick it open. But I was in there tinkering with it tonight. I filled it up and was like just lighting it, and Marcy was like, something stinks, because I kept burning the Zippo around in there. But Zippo, man, I mean, look, one of the things, I carry a knife all the time, but a lighter is actually not a bad thing to have on you.
Heck no, it's survival.
Yeah, and so a Zippo, if you're going to carry a lighter, you might as well carry a good American-made lighter.
Oh, yeah.
And they've been around since 1930s in Bradford, Pennsylvania. It says here, the Zippo timeline begins in the early 30s at the Bradford Country Club in Pennsylvania. Mr. Bladsdell watched a friend struggle awkwardly to use a cumbersome Austrian-made lighter. So he noted that the lighter worked well even in the wind due to the unique chimney, but the appearance and design was utilitarian and inefficient. It required the use of 2 hands to operate, and its thin metal surface was easily dented. So he decided to reconstruct it. Let's see, the name Zippo was created, and he liked the sound of the word zipper, so he formed variations on the word until he came up with Zippo. So, been around since the 30s. World War II, it says it had a profound impact. A lot of the soldiers, says the fact that millions of American military personnel carried the lighter into battle was a significant catalyst in establishing it as an American icon. So, dude, that's something like Zippo lighter. Our grandpa probably had a Zippo lighter, both of them. Actually, or all 3 of them. Both my grandpas were in there, and so both of your, that's a good chance. I'll say both of your. I don't know how I would describe that, because one of ours is the same.
We have a mutual grandfather.
Mutual grandfather. He's over there. I had to rearrange because of our huge, awesome King Kong poster here.
Yeah.
But they probably all had Zippo lighters. Back then, everybody was smoking, so.
Yeah, I know. Did Papa Curtis, did he smoke?
He used to smoke a pipe. I don't know if he ever smoked cigarettes.
Well, I know my other grandfather smoked, because one of the stories, he went mule deer hunting one year, I think in Colorado, and they said the way he saved up for it was like he decided he was going to quit smoking, and the amount of money he saved up from quitting
Bought him a
smoking,
mule deer hunt.
which probably costs like $100 to go mule deer.
Yeah, about the same today.
$1.50 for a tag, whatever. I don't know what year it was, but he quit smoking to do that. And so yeah, at one point, which back, of course, they didn't even know. You see the funny old like vintage
Where it's
ads,
healthy.
It's like 8 out of 10 doctors prefer Camels or something
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
It's like that is crazy.
Did you ever watch Mad Men?
No.
That's a pretty cool show. I got into it. I never finished it, but I got into it pretty heavily for a while. And that was cool because it's back in, if I remember right, it's in like the 50s, 60s or so time era. And Don Draper is like the man in there. And, but he's an ad man, and they're doing some ads for Lucky Strike cigarettes. And they're like, no, everybody freaking smokes. Like everybody smokes. Nobody thinks it's bad for you. This is like I think when the Surgeon General and them are coming out saying like, this causes cancer. And everyone's like, this is ridiculous. Like they think it's ridiculous that they would say it causes cancer.
That's what, I think I mentioned last week. I've been watching Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Of course, this was back in the 20s. And, they smoke like crazy, which of course, the guy, the main character, he's the same guy who plays in Oppenheimer.
Yes. And he smoked like a freight train for that movie.
Oh, in Oppenheimer he does too?
Yeah.
Well, I just kept thinking, I was like, I don't know if this dude smokes in real life, but like he smokes so much in this TV show. I don't know how he didn't get addicted. Like,
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think. Thomas, I can't think of his last name in Peaky Blinders, but
I've never watched it.
I just watched an episode last night, but anyway, I've thought that oftentimes as I watched it, like he smokes so much in this TV show, and obviously sometimes they have to do more than one take. I'm like,
so
he had to have gotten even if he wasn't a smoker in real life, like I bet he got addicted just from shooting this TV show.
He's burning a pack a night on the set. Yeah. No, I don't know if he smokes or not, but I know a lot of them do. A lot of them guys do, but there you go. We're not encouraging you to be a smoker because I do think
you need a lighter just to burn some garbage out in the backyard.
Yeah,
a pile of leaves.
Yeah, if you kill somebody, you need a way to dispose of the body. You burn them.
Yeah,
and so, but you get you a Zippo lighter. It's made in USA. Our grandfathers trusted it in World War II. I mean, it doesn't get much more badass than that. So, y'all check that out. And don't forget, go to AgZaga, get your toys, get geared up for Christmas. Use that code TALKDIRT, all one word, all caps. Get your kids ready. And then while you're there, you might as well go ahead and get you a few things for the farm operation. Yep. And use that code, and that's at agzaga.com. And that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
Yeah. No, that's it. Looking forward to being back here again next week.
Yep. You guys comment below if you got anything. Just shoot us a comment below on YouTube. Let us know what you thought of the show. And if you hate us, that's cool too. Let us know. We won't lose any sleep over it.
Oh, no. Somebody, a big ag account I follow online he had posted something today, like screenshots of like one of his haters or somebody. And it was like all the times, it's like the mentions that he had from them. I was like, dude, haters are God's gift to the algorithm.
They are.
They pump really those numbers up for you, baby. So,
yep.
Hey, hate away.
Yep, they hate us.
Which that's the funny thing. Like maybe we're doing something wrong because we don't have that many haters.
I know. Yeah, maybe we need to be worse.
We need haters. That'll help our numbers.
They hate us because they ain't us, man. That's what it is.
Right. That's what the kids say these days.
Yeah, they hate us because they ain't us, I think is how it goes.
Because they anus?
Anus.
We made it all the way to the end, and now we're talking about anus.
Yeah, got to throw some anus jokes in there.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We've gone completely off the rails.
Before we get too deep down this anus path, we'll call it.
Yeah, talk to y'all next week.
See ya.